Look what made it in. Let's talk about it. Welcome everyone to another edition of Get Your Game On, the channel dedicated to immersive gaming experiences. Well, it's finally here, the Crystal. And today we're going to do a quick video of the unboxing and then also my first impressions having used it a little bit. I'll be doing a more thorough review of this in the future, but there's some issues that I have to address, and I will cover all that after the unboxing. All right, everyone, it's time to unbox the Pimax Crystal. We took a vote on the live stream, and the results came back. People wanted to see the unboxing of the Crystal, so here we are. So let's get into it, shall we? One of the first things I wanted to show you guys before I actually dive into this is the box comparison. So this is the box of the Aero, and you can see that it basically is the same, pretty much the same size that way, but holy cow, the Pimax is much thinner. I was really surprised at the size of this box. I just was expecting, I mean, any of you that have gotten a Vive, the original Vive, know that thing came in a box that you had to basically have a truck to haul it home in. And they've really got this a lot more compact now. So here's the box in all its glory. You can see from China, nothing all that special about it, but there it is. I was really surprised by the size. So let's see what we got. We got our handy box cutter here. So what I would recommend, always be safe. Box cutters, you don't have to put the blade all the way out. You can just open it as much as you want to cut the tape. So here we go. Let's see what we got. And that's one side. And that's two sides. And right down the middle. So I obviously took the shipping label out because I had to cut right down to it. Safety first, always remove that, and let's see what we got here. So it looks like bubble wrap. It doesn't look like it has the styrofoam protectant that the Vario did, but let's see here. Let's get this out. Those of you that have watched me before know I sometimes struggle with the box, although this one doesn't seem to be packed as tight, so that pretty much came right out, so that's good. Okay, I'm going to have a quick seat, and let's see what we got here. Yeah, just a really good casing of bubble wrap. Looks like it did the job, and there we go, Pimax. So, small ding on the box corner edge here. Again, I'm sure the inside of this is fine. Really, the box looks in pretty good shape. Pimax Crystal. So, let's see underneath if there's anything. Nothing underneath, so just kind of a standard box. Feels pretty good quality, about what you'd expect. And time for the big reveal. Ta-da! There we go. Okay. So everything is definitely packaged in well. Here we go. So this, when they first started shipping these, they were having trouble with this top buckle right here, and they were getting broken in shipping. So apparently they've added this piece right here to help protect that. It appears to have worked. That's just plastic. So yeah, so that's the first test to make sure we're good. So this piece right here is the new addition that helps protect the buckle. Man, I don't know where to start. I guess. All right, this feels like the face gasket. So it looks like now they're actually installing the advanced head gasket, or the one that goes up on your forehead. The early versions did not do that. I'm not going to open that because it's sealed up, and I'll probably use that one anyways. It's just the extra face gasket. And oh, this feels like a battery. We will be opening the battery. So there you go. Wow. Almost feels like something you'd wear on your thigh in the military, like a ammo thing. So this is the extra battery, and I've heard that this is a little tricky or a little stiff to get out. That was one thing I was wondering. Holy cow, yeah it is. And I'm trying to show you on camera so it doesn't help me get leverage. All right, I'm gonna mess with that later. Let's finish the unboxing. Like I said, I kind of expected that. So there's a battery in that, and that's the charger, and then here's the extra battery. So this one obviously does not have a charger. Once I clear this box out, I'll play with that battery. It's just an awkward position. So there we go, second battery. They're actually quite a bit lighter than I thought they were gonna be. Yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. And the controllers. So not overly concerned with controllers because I will be going to a lighthouse setup. Yeah, they feel fine. They feel very on par with, a little lighter than I thought they would be. So they're a little lighter. I believe they have built-in batteries, so they're not going to get any heavier. So they're not bad. They're a little lighter in weight, which might be a good thing for most people, actually. Nice and clicky. All that feels good. They're pretty much on par with, I think, what we got used to with that first generation of Windows mixed reality headsets that we got. But I like the thumbstick, pretty standard layout. So we'll mess with these at some point. Again, I don't use them that much. I'm more of a flight sim, race sim guy. So these aren't that big of a deal. And I will be going to Lighthouse Tracking. So there's our controllers. All right, so let's see what else we got here. I think we're down to the headset, so I love that part of it. All right, let's pull this thing out. Well, it's real. It looks just like they show on the other stuff. It feels like there's still a lot of stuff in there, so we'll come back to that. So here you go. Here's the Pimax headset. You can see it's got that joint in there. Oh, the DMAS. Awesome. So the DMAS head earphones are already mounted. So that's cool because I figured I'd have to do that. So that's nice. So these are already mounted on. I don't have to do that extra step, which makes sense because then they don't have to put another box in here or anything. So I like that. Plastic. I don't know if you guys can see. I haven't even looked at the lenses. I'm showing you first. I mean, yeah, big old lenses. Hopefully you can see that. That's your aspheric. So it's looking good. So quality-wise, it's about what you expect. It feels to me about on par with like what we got out of the original Vive. Maybe just a little bit cheaper feeling plastic. Doesn't feel like cheap plastic, but definitely doesn't feel like the HP G2 or anything like that. It's somewhere in between. Maybe just a half a step behind like the Vive Pro, which I used. I kind of expected to be like a Vive Pro, so it doesn't surprise me. But it's not cheap plastic. These buttons are kind of cheap looking. But the overall construction, the overall head strap, yeah, it's fine. It looks kind of what you'd expect. So I can already tell you the Aero is a far more poshy experience when you pull it out. It definitely feels like it's just taking that next step, almost like an Apple product or something. But this is fine. This, again, it doesn't feel cheap. Feels pretty much average. And one of my favorite things, I love having the hinge. We'll see how it feels when I wear it. But I always put mine on. I kind of bring it up to my face and drop the head strap over the top. So I kind of like that. So, yeah. Here you go. Oh, I like that. So it looks like they're using a very similar nose design for the light blocking for the nose that the Vive Pro did, and I love that. Feels good. It's a nice thin plastic. They kind of have that petal, that flower petal design. So I like that. We'll see how it works. It's kind of sticking up on the side. Yeah, okay. So there's the headset in a nutshell. We'll set that over here. Now let's see what else we have in the box. Bringing back the box. Okay, looks like there's a box under here. So we've got the Pimax Quick Start Guide. So we'll be using that. I'm sure this is a bunch of cables, is what I'm guessing. I'm really impressed with how efficient. I think that's it. Oh, we got a couple boxes here. Okay. So we've got boxes down here too. I'm really impressed with how efficient they've got this packed in here. And that's pretty good foam. That's good shipping foam. So I think that's it. So we'll pull this box out and we'll pull those out for you and see what's in there. And I think that's it for this box. So we'll set that aside. And let's see what else we have here. Pimax. Okay, here's your power cord. And let's see what this is. This, I believe, is... Oh, okay, this is just the power adapter. So, standard power adapter, you plug in... let's see here. All these interesting little parts and pieces here. Let's see what this is. I haven't really watched many people unbox their Pimax, so I probably should have researched it, but wasn't that important to me. I figured we'll learn as we go, right? All these plastic bags feel pretty good. I'm sure that's, yep, so that's just our power cords. So when I start moving across the world into different countries, I can always have my Pimax ready to go in whatever country I'm in. So anyways, some of these look, let's see, this one should be US. Huh, these look the same. Maybe there's two. I don't know. Anyways, okay, so there's that. And move those over to the side. So that's good. We have power. And for those of you that don't know, I have never had a Pimax before. So this is my first Pimax. Okay, so this is obviously the cable. Multiple plug-ins. So I don't think this is the optical. I think they were talking about shipping with a fiber optic cable or something, but I believe that only had 2 ends. This one looks like it's got 3, so it looks like I've got the cheaper cable, I believe. We'll find out on that. And then just obviously the DP port. So that's your tethered cable. That's what I would be using for anything with simulators or anything like that. So I got this cool little collector strap, and it looks like a small cable. I'll find out where that goes into as well. So there we go. Got a bunch of cables, little strap, don't forget that. Probably critical to have that. And that's another box out of the way. So, cool. Let's see. Obviously, those are instructions. Don't care about that. This is an empty bag. Move that over here. And this is... Let's see what this little thing is here. We have... Can't be another battery. Is this the USB? Oh, no, this is the powered USB. So here's something, I know there's a lot of people that complain about Pimax, but this little box right here impresses me. So they were getting a lot of feedback that people were worried about the batteries. So what they did, without adding any cost to the purchase price, they have now included this power USB hub, which helps keep the headset battery, it lets it go longer between recharges. And again, this was something that they added without, making it an accessory. I can guarantee you if this was Meta, this would have cost you $99.99 or something like that as an optional add-in. But Pimax included it. They listened to their customers, and they threw it in there. So, like I said, this is my first experience with Pimax. But so far for me, it's been a good experience. So I'm only going to, comment on the experience I'm having. I do know they had problems in the past, but again, I'm not going to comment on that stuff. There's enough out there. Oh, whole bunch of screws. All right. So this is obviously, I believe, for the lenses, I believe. Or it may be the DMAS. Not sure. Or it could be both. It might be the installation for the DMAS. This is why we don't look at instructions first, because that takes all the fun away, not knowing what it is. All right, let's see if I can manage to not lose the screws the first 10 minutes of opening the package. That's the goal. Screwdriver, yeah, I mean, you're not going to replace your Snap-on screwdriver with it, but hey, it's nice it's added. It's nice it's included for people that don't have access to tools or don't have a screwdriver or anything. Obviously, some of us have more tools than we need. So, all right, there's that. I think I'm making a mess over here. Let's see if we can straighten this up a little bit. That's shipping stuff. Don't need that. So yeah, so far, I like it. And this was the USB. So another box out of the way. And we'll put this little, it's cool. It's got a little brushed metal look on top. So cool. I'm sure this is just your cleaning cloth. Throw that over there as well. And then this box. Let's see what's in here. Another bag. So everything is black. Definitely a lot of black going on here. So let's see what we got. This looks like more cables. This is probably for the USB hub, I'm guessing. So yeah, just standard USB A to C cables. So nothing special there. So I think that's about it. Looks like it has everything I need. Again, very impressed with the packaging. The box was, fine as far as sturdiness. Not quite as much protective foam as the Vario. If you remember that one, there were big old slabs of foam. But also the box is half the size, which probably adds to quicker shipping and at the very least more inexpensive shipping. So let's take a look one more time. And here is the headset. And then I want to try to tackle... I'm going to try to tackle this battery thing. Because ideally what I'd like to do, and I'm trying to see, I don't really see any cover protection on the lenses, which is a little bit of a concern. Unless it fell out or something, it doesn't look like the lenses have any coating on them. Maybe I don't see it. But anyhow, that's kind of that. So there's your headset. And let's tackle this now that I'm not fighting over a box. So ideally what I want to be able to do is take these batteries while I'm wearing the headset and be able to take it out of the headset and put it on. The battery spot is right here. That's where the battery goes in. This is the charging dock that you use to charge the spare battery. I love that you get two batteries. That's great. And it looks like that's kicked in. Okay, that might be why it was weird. So it was kicked in a little sideways. So let me see if, I think you just push, see here, this don't really give very much. I don't know if that's, I think, okay, so they kind of go down. Okay, so it's springy down. Okay, so basically you kind of push down on these, almost like forward. It's not really an in, it's more of a down. It's kind of weird because you've got to push down and then you're trying to pull it out at the same time. There's definitely going to be I'm probably going to have to do a whole video on how to get this battery out. So, okay. Yeah, that could be better, Pimax. Oh, man. Yeah, you guys need to work on that. That's awkward to have to tilt it in to unlatch it, but you're also trying to pull it out. So you're pushing while you're trying to pull. It would be better if it was if there was some way when you squeezed it, it did, pulled those in, because then you're squeezing and pulling at the same time versus trying to push and pull. It's very strange. So don't love that, but I love the fact that we've got an integrated battery. That's one of my favorite parts of this. So. And I don't know if it just pushes or you got to do the same trick here. Oh, you do. So, okay, so that's, and that might loosen up with time also. That could be something that gets better over time. It's just awkward. A little practice maybe. Yeah, that's awkward, pushing and pulling at the same time. Yeah, not a fan. That could be better. I'll have to try it in the headset. This might just be the battery case that's an issue. The battery charger might go fine in the headset. In fact, let's try it. All right, let's see how this works. So we've got the Pimax battery. There's the case. There's the insert. It doesn't really click in. So you do have to kind of pull it and push it. Okay, so that goes in pretty easy in the headset. You just have to give it a little. Well, that makes sense though, because it's easier if you're pushing it and you're pushing the battery in. Of course, that would go in. So yeah, that works. It's just the getting it out part. And again, this is awkward because I'm trying to keep it in camera, but yeah, it's weird having to push forward. You almost have to use two hands, which isn't going to be ideal for a quick hot swap on that. Yeah, that could be better. I'm already going to say that. That's a little ridiculous in how hard that is. It just doesn't make sense. Like I said, you're pushing. I mean, look at my fingers. It's like, luckily there's no blood. But the fact you have to push down to release it while you're trying to pull it out is really unintuitive. So, points for having onboard hot swappable battery. Points taken off for making it such a weird connector to get in and out. And the next step, I guess, is to plug it in and see where we get software installation-wise, and then finally get our head in this thing and see what we think. But so far, so good. Came in not broken, so that's a good thing. Hopefully the screens are good. So let's move on to the next part. So let's talk about my first impressions about the Vario Aero headset. First and foremost, I want to talk about the software. So the software installed beautifully. I didn't even uninstall like the Vario base or anything like that. I wanted to see if there would be any conflicts or problems, and there were none. The only issue that I had was basically it didn't really see the controllers until I did a firmware upgrade on the headset itself. I did the firmware. It didn't brick it. It was super easy. You basically have to use a USB-C cable, plug it directly in the computer, and it does the update. Once that was done, the controllers popped up, everything was fine. So really good on the software, and the software seems to be pretty intuitive to use. So whatever they've done, again, this is my first Pimax, so I don't have any experience with the old stuff, but this stuff so far has been going pretty well. It's working quite well. So far, kudos to Pimax for the software. Now, the visual quality is the best visuals I've ever seen in a VR headset. These things are amazing looking. The screens are a little bit more of a warm tone compared to the Vario Aero, which is a little bit more on the cold side with a little bit more blues. This one leans more towards the warm reds and oranges, but they both look amazing. The colors are very bright. I have messed with the local dimming. And what's really cool is the local dimming has various levels that you can set it at. So you can go to the extreme, which I did see quite a bit of blooming to me in that. And again, keep in mind, I've only used it a little bit. But you can actually dial it wherever you want it. And unlike the Vario Aero, where it's a brightness control, the local dimming actually doesn't kill off the lit pixels and what's supposed to be bright. So very, very happy with the local dimming on this headset. I think it's definitely not OLED, and again, being an OLED snob, I really wish somebody would come out with a really good RGB stripe OLED panel, but this is really good. It's definitely far better than any of the other headsets that don't have the local dimming. So kudos to them on this. As far as the FOV, definitely a bigger FOV. And my first impressions, I think the FOV itself horizontally is about the same as the Aero, but what I noticed is it's more like the Aero is letterbox and the Crystal is more of a 4:3 ratio. So when you're in the headset, you can think of it that way. It's kind of the same, field of view this way, but picture letterbox, that's the Aero. Go a little higher for the 4:3 ratio, and that's what you kind of see with the Crystal. And it's noticeably different, so noticeably better. If that vertical FOV is important, like if you're a dogfighter, that's where I can see that's pretty important. For racing, not a big deal because you're generally not looking up through the top of the race car to see anything. So that's the FOV, and basically I love the off-ear, the DMAS. They sound great. They are a little quieter than I would like. I wish they were just a tick louder, but my hearing's not the best either, so that might have something to do with it. But they're definitely usable. I mean, again, I like that big sound to drown out the rest, but they're certainly usable, and I would say they're as good as the HP G2. You know, if not just slightly quieter, but I don't know that you could tell the difference. They're very, very close. And one thing that the HP G2 doesn't have is it doesn't have the volume control, which I love having a volume control on the headset. So they're volume control directly on the headset to control the volume of the DMAS. So good job there, Pimax. Really nice. So let's talk a little bit about weight of this headset. It is heavy. There's no doubt about it, but it is balanced well. I don't have a gram scale, but what I did do is kind of put the battery in this, get a sense of how much it weighed, and then I took my Arrow and I took the headphones for the audio, and I kind of held them in one hand, and I kept the balancing kit, which is another 200 grams. And they're about the same with all the things that you need to make it work. So, you know, the weight kit and everything on the Arrow with the headphones, and this is just slightly heavier, just barely noticeably heavier, but they're essentially the same when you're looking at the audio and all that stuff. So that's the situation with weight. It is a little heavy on the front. So, and this one definitely has some issues with comfort for me, and I'll talk a little bit about that. One of the biggest disappointments for me, let's talk about some of the cons now. This battery solution, I was so excited about an integrated battery solution. As you saw in the video, it was very difficult for me to get that battery out of there. I have since talked to some people. I looked at the instructions, and what they do recommend is that you pop like one side out at a time, and that seems to work a little bit better. But in my opinion, that's kind of a workaround for just a bad design, because it shouldn't be that hard to get this out. This is not a good design for the battery. The good news is I think it can be fixed in the battery itself. I don't think it needs to have a redesign of the headset, but these buttons here, they need to go in, not lever up. So not a fan of that, and it's really disappointing because I was hoping to be able to pop this out and in without taking the headset off. There's no way that that's going to happen. Now, putting it in is easy because you do the same thing. You push and it goes right in. So going in is easy, but man, removing that thing is a bear for sure. So not super happy with the battery, but at least it has an integrated battery. Now, battery life-wise, since they included that powered USB hub, I have been in this thing for a couple hours playing it, and I haven't seen any problems with the battery. I mean, the battery doesn't even drop at all on the indicator. So I fully expect with this thing plugged into the powered USB hub, this thing's going to go for easily 6 hours, maybe 8 hours. And, you know, and then obviously if you're playing that long and you got to swap it, you can do a quick hot swap with the battery, just bring a wrench so you can get the battery out. So you're not going to run into issues, even though it does drain the battery over time. That's not going to be an issue practically. I don't see that as any issue. So points again to Pimax for including that USB hub, powered USB hub, and not charging additional money for it. So pretty happy with that. So let's talk about, since we kind of mentioned the trouble with the battery, let's talk a little bit about some issues that I've been having that have kept me from really testing this headset so far. So just for those of you that might be new, VR is a very subjective experience, and it's also different from everybody based on your facial structure and your IPD and all that stuff. So this is stuff that's definitely problems for me, may or may not be a problem for you. So the biggest thing in all the time I've ever done VR, I have never ever had to stop using VR because of discomfort. This is the first headset that I had to take off my head because I just couldn't stand it anymore. Basically, when I first got it, and it's got the comfort strap, which goes to your forehead, but after using it for about an hour, I had this throbbing pain. It was just pressing right over my forehead, over my eye, right here, to the point I couldn't tolerate it anymore. And I don't really, I don't need everything to be silky soft and everything. I mean, I can tolerate a lot, but it got so painful that it almost felt like I'd gotten smacked in the forehead a little bit. So the other problem is it definitely cut into my cheeks really hard here and here, and more so than the Arrow ever did. So it was definitely a little painful to use initially. Now, thank goodness, Studio Form Creative had sent me previously a balancing kit for the Arrow, and they had sent along this Apache strap along with it. Now, this isn't designed for the Pimax, but thank goodness they sent this to me. So I was able to actually use some extra Velcro and stuff and get it to fit up on here. And this really took a lot of the pressure off and allowed me to use this thing for a couple of hours. So thank you to them again. That has really helped. And just for me, the comfort, it's the worst fitting VR headset I've ever worn. Again, I've never had to take one off because of discomfort, but this one I did. So at that time also, let's talk about the eye box. So the lenses are extremely close to where your eye sits. Daryl put it on. He actually could feel the tips of his eyelashes touching the lenses. So if you wear glasses, I don't see any way that you're going to be able to wear this with glasses. I put my contacts in initially because I didn't have any prescription lenses, and they basically, it worked, but again, it was so painful up here. Now, by the time I got this Apache strap to work, I had my prescription lenses from Hans VR. They basically were the only company that could give me my prescription. I'm a -10 on my prescription, so it's quite heavy. And then I also wanted the magnetic lens adapters so that I could pull them off if somebody else wanted to use them very quickly versus popping that whole adapter off. So thank you to Hans VR. And then when I put those in, I had been doing about an hour, and with the head strap, I was now able to get to about 2 hours. But after about 2 hours, those prescription lenses were pushing into my brow, and especially when you're looking up or anything like that, and it just got uncomfortable. So I got from about an hour's worth of use to about 2 hours worth of use, and I've been trying to use it ever since, but definitely not a comfort thing. Now, I will caution anybody also, if you have bad eyesight and you have a very narrow IPD, I worry about the lenses with the adapters are going to be resting on your nose, because when I first put this on, it hadn't auto IPD'd. I hadn't set the IPD or anything, and it was very tight on my nose. Once I got the IP set out to my IPD, which is a 69.5, it wasn't a problem. But if you have a very narrow IPD, I could see where there could be discomfort or pressure on your nose there too. So just a lot of little things, little quirks that are dependent on your facial structure, whether this is going to be comfortable for you or not. So in a nutshell, that's kind of my experience. I will be doing a full review of this, but that's going to be a while. So, you know, to alleviate the problem with the prescription lenses digging into my brow, I've actually ordered a thicker face gasket. This is about 11 millimeter, and I've ordered a 15, but those don't even get shipped like for another week or so. They said about the middle of August. So I don't foresee that coming in anytime soon. Once it does, I'm going to want to spend some time in the headset. Once I get it to where I can wear it for 4 or 5 hours at a time, and I'll be able to give you guys a little bit more thorough review. But don't expect that anytime soon, because like I said, we still have some issues that we have to address. Now, what I will tell you, talking about all that, this is still the best visuals I've ever seen in a headset, so I will make this work. I will certainly make this work. It's not like I'm going to send it back or anything, because the visuals are there. I just have to work on the comfort side of it to make it work for me. So that's basically my first impressions of the Pimax Crystal. We'll do more later, but for now, that hopefully will give you at least an idea of what I've experienced. So until next time, again, always appreciate you guys watching, and remember to get your game on.